If you're having massive cravings and you're struggling with weight loss, then it might be that you're leptin resistant. This video will talk about what is leptin resistance and how can you fix it. Leptin is a hormone that gets secreted by the body's fat cells and is often referred to as the satiety hormone. It's considered to be one of the most important regulators of body fatness in mammals. Leptin's main role is to control the body's energy balance and influence the number of calories you expend and how much fat you burn. It's a critical hormone for motivating us to either eat or respond to starvation. Leptin regulates appetite signals and controls body weight by signaling the brain the availability of energy homeostasis and storage. Whenever you've received enough calories and nutrients, leptin should send a message to the brain to stop eating. When you begin to run low on energy, leptin levels should rise and signal your motivation system to start searching for food. That's the natural input-output mechanism of hunger and satiety. However, this process can get broken due to imbalances in the hormonal regulation of leptin and other metabolic issues. The adipose tissue secretes leptin in proportion to how much body fat and energy is present. If you have more fat, you'll have higher leptin, which means you should be less motivated to eat. Leptin then enters blood circulation, travels to the brain, acts primarily on the hypothalamus, and regulates body weight and energy expenditure. It's gonna tell the brain how much energy and stored fat there is. High leptin equals energy abundance. Low leptin equals borderline starvation. Whenever you do eat food, fat storage gets filled, leptin goes up, brain blunts hunger and you stop eating. Whenever you don't eat, fat storage gets lower, leptin goes down, brain raises hunger and you start eating. I'm hungry! If you're trying to lose weight, your leptin levels will go down, and that makes the brain want to restore that lost fat by making you hungrier, causing sugar cravings, reducing basal metabolic rate, etc. In well-functioning metabolisms, leptin should automatically regulate itself according to food intake and burn-off. However, there are many instances such as obesity or weight loss plateaus wherein leptin doesn't work properly. This is called leptin resistance. Paradoxically, people who are overweight, i.e. fat cells are overly full, also have higher levels of leptin. That's why they continue to overeat and gain weight despite already having enough energy around. Their brain doesn't get the message. It's thought that leptin resistance is one of the main drivers of obesity. That's the reason people get obese in the first place, and that's why most diets fail. Leptin resistance results partly from hyperleptinemia, by downregulating the cellular response to leptin. Leptin resistance walks hand in hand with insulin resistance, both of which make you required to produce more leptin and insulin to signal the brain that there's adequate energy. Basically, too much leptin all the time makes the brain desensitized to the signals that you're satiated and nourished, thus promoting hunger, cravings, and obesity. Being resistant to leptin makes it more difficult for you to lose weight and feel satiated from food because your brain is perceiving food as scarcity. Whenever you do go on a diet and start reducing your calories, then the body is gonna respond by causing energy conservation. Energy expenditure per unit of lean body mass will go down, which means that you'll start burning fewer calories for the same amount of muscular work. You'll become more metabolically efficient, i.e. slow metabolism. Some signs of leptin resistance include weight loss plateaus and obesity, stubborn body fat, low thyroid, sugar cravings, binge eating, hungry all the time, constantly thinking about food, high triglycerides in the blood, and high reverse T3, the thyroid hormone. To actually know if you're leptin resistant, you can measure fasting leptin levels, which should optimally be around 4 to 6 nanograms per deciliter.
I'm hungry.
So what causes leptin resistance? Chronic stress and high cortisol make you overeat and cause fat gain, especially around the midsection. Sleep deprivation and circadian rhythm mismatches promote insulin resistance, leptin resistance, and weight gain. Leptin levels are dependent on sleep duration. Overconsumption of simple carbohydrates and sugars causes insulin resistance. Being overweight and having excess fat is as much a sign of leptin resistance as it is a cause. Drinking alcohol can make you overeat and lower satiety signals. Hyperinsulinemia or chronically high levels of insulin elevate blood sugar and make it easier to store the food you eat. Frequently high levels of leptin lower the brain's response to leptin and food consumption. Snacking and eating at night teaches the brain to become leptin resistant and also promotes weight gain. Inflammation because of stress, toxic overload, or inflammatory foods can cause hyperleptinemia. High triglycerides prevent leptin from entering the brain. That's why high amounts of fat and carbs cause insulin resistance, leptin resistance, and high triglycerides. Disturbances in the gut, whether because of gut dysbiosis or leaky gut syndrome. Artificial sweeteners and zero-calorie beverages may raise insulin and make the microbiome extract more calories from food. Inadequate autophagy and cellular turnover are important for energy homeostasis and leptin signaling. Overtraining and crash dieting can make you hungry to the point where it doesn't matter how much food you eat, but you still won't be satisfied.
I think I'll take 2 chickens.
So how do you fix it? Here's what you don't want to be doing if you have leptin resistance. Avoid processed foods and trans fats that increase inflammation. Avoid excess fructose consumption, primarily from table sugar, high fructose corn syrup, processed sugary foods and sodas. Avoid coffee and other caffeinated drinks. This will lower cortisol and fixes the chronic fatigue. Eliminate grain and lectin foods that promote intestinal permeability and leptin resistance. Stop snacking and eating at irregular times. Don't do too much high-intensity exercise or cardio. Chronic cardio makes you crave more food and can screw up your metabolism. Doing HIIT can also make you overly stressed out if you're already under a lot of stress. You should still continue to exercise because it boosts BDNF, which helps with leptin production, but focus primarily on shorter and more intense resistance training workouts that increase your metabolism and balance the hormones. Don't do intermittent fasting for too long. If you're already leptin resistant, then going for long periods without food may also make you more prone to overeating and not being satisfied with food. Moving on with the things you should do instead. Get enough sleep and recovery. It's important to get quality sleep for at least 6 to 8 hours per night. You should try to relax for a few days to allow your body to get out of survival mode. Eat more protein and fiber. These are the most satiating foods that will help you to feel more satiated and improve leptin sensitivity. Get some healthy fats. Omega-3s, DHA cholesterol and EPA are critical for proper hormonal functioning and metabolism. Get enough electrolytes and minerals. Part of the reason why you may not be satisfied from eating is that you're not getting enough essential minerals such as magnesium, zinc, vitamin D, potassium or sodium. Some hormetic stressors help to balance your hormones. Things like proper resistance training, time-restricted feeding, cold thermogenesis, hot saunas, red light therapy, and exposure to the elements. Cold temperatures increase the leptin receptor and make you more leptin sensitive. Adaptogenic herbs and medicinal mushrooms can help with stress. Things such as maca root powder, ginseng, turmeric, ginger, and cinnamon can heal your adrenals and hormones. Mushrooms like chaga, reishi, lion's mane, turkey tail, and cordyceps will strengthen your immune system and protect against future stressors.
Relax.
One of the worst things you could do with leptin resistance is to continue eating very small, frequent meals throughout the entire day, while doing a bunch of cardio, while drinking too much coffee, without sleeping enough. Leptin resistance is both physical as well as psychological. Your brain can perceive your energy intake as scarce, despite being overweight or having eaten thousands of calories. Likewise, you can feel extremely satisfied by eating just a few hundred calories of nutrient-dense food. One of the reasons why people get leptin resistance is that they eat too many stimulating foods too often, all the time, without completely being satisfied by it. That's what's happening in the hedonistic fast food rich environment where you can eat unimaginably much. To fix leptin resistance completely, then you have to change your relationship with food by rewiring your brain. The brain is plastic and is constantly rearranging itself according to the feedback that it receives. So the general blueprint for fixing leptin resistance would be to practice time-restricted feeding every day, eat a whole foods-based diet without any processed garbage, get enough sleep, practice stress management, moderate exercise, and overall mindfulness. You have to be kind of grateful for what you eat whenever you do eat. Stay leptin sensitive, stay empowered.
I'm gonna have to eat every fucking chicken in this room.